Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Holly Starkey, fantasy story editor. I edit all subgenres of fantasy. I hope you are having an amazing day. So I am wearing a mic this time because I have a fan right here. So I thought a mic would be better so you guys can maybe hear me better. But let me know in the comments down below if the audio sounds great. I always listen to it back on my device, but I'm always a little concerned that it didn't come through great on YouTube. So anyways, today's video, I'm going to talk about should you hire an editor? And yes, I am an editor, so I know it probably sounds like, of course she's going to say yes, she's an editor. But honestly, I would say the answer is yes and no. So for example, if you're going to go, I think there's two situations here. Well, many situations, but I think of the two main situations, then you branch off from the main situations. So depending on what you want to do with your story. So if you want to be traditionally published, like, Query Agents, or if you want to go indie. If you plan to go traditional, then I would strongly, advise against spending thousands of dollars on editing, because your publisher, they have editors on staff, and they are taking a large percentage of your royalties. So why spend thousands of dollars of your own money to go ahead and pay for an editor when you can use theirs? You're already paying for it anyways. Honestly, you already are paying for it out of your royalties, a percentage of your royalties. So why not just use theirs? So if you are going the traditional route, I would spend no more than maybe $500 on editing. Maybe have someone do a professional manuscript critique to kind of give you an idea where the strengths and weaknesses of your story are, and then go from there and improve those strengths and weaknesses, and then start querying agents, and then any other changes they want to make, some bigger changes, their editors will work with you with that. But I would just use my money to do like a critique, a professional critique, to kind of get an idea of some of the strengths of the plot and the characters and things like that. Second answer would be if you are planned to be independently published. If you plan to be independently published, I would not spend thousands of dollars. So it's another no. I would not spend thousands of dollars on editing unless that is money you can afford to lose. So I'm not saying I don't think it is an investment. It is an investment in terms of in your ability to write and growing as a writer, but it's not a financial investment, because you can spend $3,000 on editing, like especially fantasy authors. Fantasy authors, I think, and science fiction authors have it hard because those books tend to be long, and having a longer book edited is very expensive. So let's say you have your 100,000 word novel edited, and you do the whole works. You edit, line editing, developmental editing, proofreading, and you spend like $3,000. And it depends. Honestly, that's a low estimate. It's usually much more expensive than that, especially for line editing. You spend $3,000 getting all this work done. That is a huge hole financially to dig yourself out of when it comes to making sales on the book. So I think that it is good to do that for a novel because it does make the novel stronger. But if you can't afford to lose that money, I would not do it, because there's no guarantee that the novel is going to earn that money back. And then you're just out of $3,000 or more. So what I would recommend, if someone doesn't have $3,000 to throw away, and I don't mean to say, I know I'm repeating myself here, but I don't mean to say throw away in a bad way. I mean throw away financially. It is an investment in yourself as a writer and growing in your craft, but it's not really a financial investment unless you already know that your books sell well. So this isn't your first book published. You've published other books and they've sold very well. And so spending that money is a financial investment because it'll make your book stronger and therefore sell better. But if this is your first one, or you don't have a great sales record, then you just don't want to have to start off like that and dig yourself out of that hole unless you can just afford to lose that money up front. What I recommend for authors who can't afford to spend that kind of money is, for instance, I have what I call manuscript critiques. And other editors do that. I am not the only one that does it, but manuscript critiques are better for you financially, especially if you just can't afford developmental editing. A manuscript critique will let you know the strengths and weaknesses of your story. I break mine down as the plot, character, dialogue, believability in story world. And I give my authors a report that I generate at the end. So it's a report listing all those points I talked about earlier, and it just gives them a breakdown of what's working and what isn't working and some steps on revision. So I only charge, at the time of this video, I charge $125 for that because it's not as time intensive as developmental editing. I do offer developmental editing as well, but you'll find other editors are the same. The critique service, or sometimes they call it professional beta reading. So my manuscript critique is like professional beta reading, is usually much cheaper than a developmental edit, because developmental edit usually has chapter by chapter breakdown assessment, and it's very time intensive. But manuscript critique is not as time intensive on the editor's end. So I recommend that authors go that route so they can kind of see the strengths and weaknesses of their story and know where to go from there. And honestly, a lot of people, when they're publishing, I think a lot of people don't have thousands of dollars to just spend on editing. And I know I've heard other people say, well, just use your day job to fund that. But I mean, honestly, a lot of people's jobs fund their bills, their food and lights and utilities and rent and mortgage. I mean, and you could use money from your hobbies, but I don't have a hobby where I spend thousands of dollars on. I just could never afford that kind of expensive hobby. So if you're thinking, oh, I'll never be able to publish a book because I can't afford to spend thousands on editing, you just have to skip that step and just pay for a critique. Now, I recommend that people don't just do beta reading. Like, I've seen authors, ask for beta readers, and they use those beta readers as kind of like their editors, like a group of editors to help them through the process. I think beta readers are great. Once you are completely done with the novel, you have it the way you want it to be, and you're kind of interested to see what your readers would think of the story, and you pick people who are readers of that genre. They give you feedback, but a lot of times beta readers, since they're not professionals, they might not like something in your story, but they don't know how to separate something they don't like from something that just doesn't work. Okay, so I've read plenty of novels, like I was just talking about Harry Potter in the last novel. There are things in her novel that I don't like, but I think it works as an editor, from an editor's point of view. And as an editor, I'm able to make that distinction between what I like and what just does and does not work in the story. So I would recommend paying for a professional manuscript critique or a professional beta read, because that person will be able to give you exactly what is and is not working, and give you a reason why. Of course, you are the writer. You don't have to take their advice. You can do what you want. It is your story. And when you're independently published, you can do what you want. You don't have to follow what your editors say. So you can, go your own way. But it's good to have that professional feedback on your story to decide, okay, let me think about it. Is he or she right? Should that be changed? Should I really add this scene? It's really helpful, more helpful in my opinion than getting a lot of beta readers. Now, there are some really good beta readers, but the best beta readers to me are probably people who probably make great editors, or they want to get into editing, so they start off beta reading. That's how I did it. I started off beta reading because I really wanted to get into editing. So they give great feedback, but a lot of times you're just getting people who love reading. And I love readers. I'm a huge reader, but they don't necessarily know how to articulate what isn't working with the story. And right now, a little bit about me. I do offer editing services. It is listed. I will link it down below. I can do all my videos. Again, my manuscript critiques are $125 for stories up to 100,000. And I do have developmental editing services. Those are it's more expensive. That's more expensive, obviously. But for authors who can't afford to spend more money on the developmental editing, I offer, although I feel my developmental editing is very is very affordable. But I do also have the manuscript critique, which is even more affordable for authors. Again, I'm not saying I'm the only one that offers this. I see a lot of other editors who offer critique services. It's a more budget-friendly option for editors, for authors. At this time, I don't offer line editing or proofreading because I really like focusing on manuscript critique and story world, and developmental edit, because I love the big picture. I'm really good at looking at a story and pulling apart the plot and characters and looking at dialogue and looking at story world and really helping an author pin down what is and is not working and how to better improve that. And so that's a big strength of mine. So at this time, I'm just focusing my editing business on my strength. So again, my name is Holly Starkey, fantasy story editor. And so do you need to hire a professional editor? Yes and no. So you saw the video, now think about the situation that you're in and decide where you want to go from there. So I post new videos daily about writing, and I have my information linked down below, but definitely feel free to subscribe because you'll get a new video every day about writing. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.